in geography, which is hydrologic cycle. In the last class, we have discussed about introduction part. Next, we have seen water on the earth, then estimated volume of water on the earth's surface. Then we have seen hydrologic cycle or water cycle. Then we have discussed about evapotranspiration. Under this, we have seen evaporation, transpiration. Synopsis of the lesson. In this session, we are going to see the following topics. The first one is condensation. Next, we are going to see forms of condensation. Under this, we have dew, frost, fog, mist and clouds. Then we are going to see precipitation. Forms of precipitation. Under this, we have rain, sleet, freezing rain, hail and snow. Next, we are going to learn about infiltration, percolation, runoff. Then we are going to learn about types of runoff. Under this, we have surface runoff, subsurface runoff and base flow. Now, we are going to learn about condensation. So, what is condensation? It refers to the process in which the gaseous form of water changes into liquid form. So, evaporation means water will be converted into water vapor. So, that is called evaporation. Condensation means again the gaseous form of water will cool down or condense to liquid form. So, condensation means it is a process in which the gaseous form of water changes into liquid form. As a result, excess water vapor condenses to form cloud droplets. So, the water vapor, they will form the cloud droplets. Condensation is responsible for the formation of clouds. So, condensation is responsible for the formation of clouds. The evaporated water vapor, they will cool down and they will form clouds. These clouds produce precipitation, which is the primary route for water to return to the earth's surface in the water cycle. So, condensation is the opposite of evaporation. Evaporation means the water will get converted into water vapor or gaseous form of water. So, condensation means again this gaseous form of water will cool down and it will return back to the earth's surface in the form of rain. So, this process is an opposite reaction to evaporation. So, hence, condensation is the opposite of evaporation. Next, we are going to learn about forms of condensation, dew, frost, fog, mist and clouds are the different forms of condensation. First, we are going to learn about dew. So, morning dew, everyone would have noticed when you wake up in the morning. During the winter season, in the leaves, you can notice this dew. Dew means it is a water droplet formed by the condensation of water vapor on a relatively cold surface of an object. It forms when the temperature of an object drops below the dew point temperature. So, the dew occurs when the temperature of a particular object is below the dew point temperature. So, dew means it is a tiny water droplets which is formed because of the condensation of water vapor. Students, here we can see the picture of dew. Next, we are going to learn about frost. Frost means the ice crystals formed by deposition of water vapor on a relatively cold surface of an object is known as frost. So what is meant by frost? Frost means the ice crystals which are formed by deposition of water vapor on a cold surface of an object is known as frost. It forms when the temperature of an object drops below the freezing point of temperature. Students, here we can see the picture of frost. Next, let's see about fog. Fog is the suspended tiny water droplets or ice crystals in an air layer next to the Earth's surface that reduces the visibility to 1000 meter or lower. For aviation purposes, the criterion for fog is 10 kilometer or less. So students, fog is the suspended tiny water droplets in the atmosphere and it reduces the visibility. We can't see for over 1000 meter or lower than this. Here, aviation means flight, that is the flying of aeroplane. For aviation purpose, to fly an aeroplane, the fog condition should be 10 kilometer or less than 10 kilometer. Next, we are going to learn about mist. Mist is the tiny droplets of water hanging in the air. These droplets form when the water vapor in the air is rapidly cooled, causing it to change from invisible gas to tiny visible water droplets. Mist is less dense than fog, so the fog is very thick when compared to mist. So students, what is mist? Mist is the tiny droplets of water hanging in the air. These droplets form when the water vapor in the air is rapidly cooled, causing it to change from invisible gas to tiny visible water droplets. So, mist is less dense than fog. Next, let's see about clouds. Clouds consist of tiny water droplets or ice particles which are so small and light in weight. Clouds are formed by microscopic drops of water or by small ice crystals. So what is meant by clouds? Clouds consist of tiny water droplets or ice particles which are so small and light in weight. Clouds are formed by microscopic drops of water. Here, microscopic means very tiny drops of water or by small ice crystals. Then, the size of the droplets generally range from a couple of microns to 100 microns. This is the limit beyond which cloud drops become raindrops. So, when the size of the water droplets crosses the limit of 100 microns, so when the size increases, the cloud will burst in the form of raindrops. So, cloud is one form of condensation. Next, let's see about how the condensation occurs. Condensation occurs when the air gets saturated. Warm air can hold more water vapor than the cool air. So, the warm air, it can hold a lot of water vapor when compared to the cool air. Saturation occurs when the temperature drops down. So, condensation occurs when the air gets saturated. So, when the air gets saturated means when the temperature is low, the condensation occurs, that is, the cloud will burst. Next, let's see about precipitation. So, the third main component in the water cycle process is precipitation. So, what is precipitation? Precipitation refers to all forms of water that fall from clouds and reaches the earth's surface. So, what is meant by precipitation? Precipitation refers to all forms of water that fall from clouds and reaches the earth's surface. Next, we are going to see forms of precipitation. So, we are going to see what are the different forms of precipitation in which the water again returns back to the earth's surface. The form of precipitation in a region depends on the kind of weather or the climate of the region. So, the form of precipitation in a region, it depends on the kind of weather or the climate of a particular region. The precipitation in the warmer parts of the world is always in the form of rain or drizzle. So, in the warm region, the precipitation usually occurs in the form of rain or drizzle. So, drizzle means light rain. Then, in colder regions, precipitation may fall as snow or ice. So, students, be clear with this. In the warm region, the precipitation usually occurs in the form of rain or drizzle. Here, drizzle means light rain. Then, in colder regions, precipitation may fall as snow or ice. Next, we are going to learn about common types of precipitation are rain, sleet, freezing rain, hail and snow. First, we are going to learn about rain. The precipitation in the form of water droplets is called rain. So, what is meant by rain? The precipitation in the form of water droplets is called rain. The precipitation in which the size of raindrops are less than 0.5 millimeter in diameter is known as drizzle, and the raindrops with greater than 0.5 millimeter in diameter is known as rain. Next, let's see about sleet. The precipitation which takes place in the form of mixture of water droplets and tiny particles of ice 5 millimeter in diameter is known as sleet. So, sleet means the water droplets mixed with ice particles is called sleet. Next, let's see about freezing rain. At other times, raindrops falling through cold air near the ground do not freeze in the air. Instead, the raindrops freeze when they touch a cold surface. This is called freezing rain, and the drops of water are usually greater than 0.5 millimeter in diameter. So, freezing rain means the rain will not come as ice drops, but when it comes in contact with the cold surface or the object, it will get freeze. Next, let's see about hail. The precipitation, which consists of round pellets of ice which are larger than 5 millimeter in diameter, is called hail or hailstones. So what is mean by hail? The precipitation which consists of round pellets of ice which are larger than 5 millimeter in diameter is called hail or hailstones. Students, here we can see the picture of hail. Next, let's see about snow. The precipitation in the form of powdery mass of ice is known as snowfall. So what is mean by snowfall? The precipitation in the form of powdery mass of ice is known as snowfall. Snowfall is common in the polar and high mountainous regions. Next, let's move on to the other component of the water cycle, that is infiltration. So what is mean by infiltration? Water entering the soil at the surface of the ground is termed as infiltration. So what is mean by infiltration? Water entering the soil at the surface of the ground is termed as infiltration. Then infiltration allows the soil temporarily to store water, making it available for plants' use and organisms in the soil. So, infiltration is the process which allows the soil to store water temporarily for plants and other microorganisms in the soil. Then, infiltration is an important process where rainwater soaks into the ground through the soil and underlying rock layers. So, rainwater will get penetrated into the ground below the rock layers. Some of this water ultimately returns to the surface through springs or low spots down hills. Some of the water remains underground and is called groundwater. Next, we are going to learn about percolation. Percolation is the downward movement of infiltrated water through soil and layers. Infiltration occurs near the surface of the soil and delivers water from the surface into the soil and plant root zones. Percolation moves the infiltrated water through the soil profile and rock layers, which leads to the formation of groundwater or become a part of subsurface runoff process. So, percolation moves the infiltrated water through the soil profile. Here, soil profile means it is vertical section of the soil which you would have studied in rocks and soil lesson, and rock layers which leads to the formation of groundwater or become a part of subsurface runoff process. Next, we are going to see the last and final major component in the water cycle process, that is runoff. Now let's see the definition of runoff. Runoff is the water that is pulled by gravity across land's surface. So, after the rain, you would have noticed in the streets, the water will be flowing in the streets. That is called runoff. Runoff replenishes groundwater and surface water as it percolates into an aquifer. Here, aquifer means it is an underground layer of water-bearing rock or moves into a river, stream or watershed. Here, it replenishes means it will fill it again, the groundwater and the surface water, and it percolates deep inside the aquifer, which means it is an underground layer of water-bearing rock, or runoff may end up in a river, stream or any other water bodies. Then, runoff is also a major contributor to the erosion. So, erosion means removal of the top layer of the soil, which carves out the different forms of landforms like canyons, gorges and related landforms. Students, here we can see the picture of canyons and gorges. Next, we are going to learn about types of runoff. So, the first type is surface runoff. It is the portion of rainfall which enters the stream immediately after the rainfall. It occurs when the rainfall is longer, heavier and exceeds the rate of infiltration. In this condition, the excess water makes a head over the ground surface, which tends to move from one place to another following land gradient and is known as overland flow. When the overland flow joins the streams, channels or oceans, it is termed as surface runoff or surface flow. The second type is subsurface runoff. Subsurface runoff means below the surface. So, the subsurface runoff is otherwise called as interflow runoff. The water that has entered the subsoil and moves laterally without joining the water table to the streams, rivers or oceans is known as subsurface runoff. The subsurface runoff is usually referred as interflow. So, the subsurface runoff is otherwise called as interflow. The third type is base flow. Base flow means the groundwater. It is a flow of underground water from a saturated groundwater zone to a water channel. It usually appears at a downstream location where the channel elevation is lower than the groundwater table. Students, finally, let's see about units of the measurement pertaining to hydrology. Hydrology means study related to water bodies. The first one is evaporation or interception. It is expressed in inches or centimeter. The second one is infiltration. It is expressed as inches or centimeter or har. Next we have precipitation. It is expressed as inches or millimeter or centimeter, then runoff. It is expressed as inches or millimeter or centimeter, then runoff rate. It is expressed as cubic feet per second, then runoff volume, acre feet or cubic feet. Then finally we have storage. It is expressed as cubic feet or acre feet. So students, these are all the units which are used to express the terms related to hydrology. I have enclosed the classwork instructions in the PDF. Kindly refer it. So now we have reached the end of this session. Thank you.